How much do you understand your hydration needs? Well, summer's definitely coming, and this time of the year, it's more important than any. Now, you should still be really aware of this over winter, in spring, in autumn, rest of the year, but with summer, people start becoming really, really aware of it. And the simple thing to do is to get an understanding of what your current sweat rate is. So rather than just guzzling a certain amount of water every hour, what we're going to do is we're going to have a simple strategy. I want you to get on the scales before you start training. Ideally naked, and then remember to get dressed because you get arrested. Then do your training session. When you come back, all your clothes off, towel yourself down as dry as you possibly can and get back on the scales. Every 100 grams you've lost is 100 mils of sweat, mostly. Now, again, there's some other small differences, but we put most of the weight loss down to sweat loss. So if you've run for an hour or biked for 2 hours and you've looked at your weight loss, that is how much water you need to rehydrate with, and you might need to multiply that by 25 to 50% to get your body back into a state of hydration. Some salts will make it far more palatable, make it far more easier to drink, and make it far more easier for the body to absorb. But the important thing is that is how much sweat you have lost during your training session. Now, that's really important because if we're talking about events like summer triathlon and you're out there for 2 hours to 10, 12, 14, 15 hours, we need to understand a sweat rate. And what's then really important is actually you've got to take that into your training and you've got to get your body used to consuming that amount of fluid during your training session so that when it comes to race day, you are going to be able to cope with what your body is going to go through and actually cope with the fluid load that you need to be able to put on board. On top of that, we've got to think about carbohydrate. So we need to think about the energy you're replacing during that training session, during that race. But the first thing to do is get the basics right on your fluid loss. Now, there's loads of fancy gadgets out there that look at sweat loss, they look at sodium content and everything else. On average, around about 500 milligrams an hour. But that's on average. Everyone's slightly different. But if you're not meeting your fluid rates to start with, that's the biggest problem. Then on top of that, we've got to think about carbohydrate depletion, and there's cramping caused by carbohydrate depletion rather than salt losses. But that's the starting process that I get all of my athletes to think about. And if you track that through a dozen training sessions, long, slow, steady, short, high intensity sessions indoors, sessions outdoors, you start to get a better picture of your sweat rate for when you're fit and healthy. And what I can tell you to finish off with is athletes that are highly trained tend to sweat more. So just be really aware of it because a 1 to 2% loss in body weight through dehydration can drop performance massively.